Chapter 1. I eased the door open, quietly stepping inside with a cake in my hands. It was Jack's birthday today. As his girlfriend, I'd hopped on a high-speed train, eager to surprise him. I imagined the look on his face when he saw me. He'd be shocked, but in a good way. But the moment I walked in, something felt wrong. By the doorway, there were 2 pairs of shoes tossed carelessly on the floor. One of them definitely wasn't Jack's. Clothes, including underwear, were scattered across the living room like someone had ripped them off in a hurry. My stomach sank, twisting with a nauseating sense of dread. Before I even reached the bedroom, I could hear it, the unmistakable, intimate sounds coming from behind the half-closed door. My heart thudded painfully in my chest as I gently pushed it open. There, on the bed I had so lovingly picked out for us, were 2 people tangled up in each other. One of them was Jack. The other? Lily, my best friend. "You're such a bad girl," Jack murmured, his voice low and teasing. "Stealing your best friend's boyfriend." Lily giggled, her voice sickly sweet. "Well, what's the fun in friendship if you don't share everything?" Their words were filthy and disgusting. I stood frozen, unable to believe what I was seeing. This wasn't the Jack I knew. This was someone else entirely. My hands went numb, and before I could process what was happening, the cake slipped from my grip and crashed to the floor with a loud thud. The noise startled them, and they both turned toward the door, their eyes wide. I didn't wait for them to speak. I couldn't. I stumbled back, turning on my heel and rushing out of the apartment, my mind spinning in 100 directions. I needed to get out. I needed to breathe. Jack scrambled after me, barely throwing on his clothes. "Anna, wait. Please just let me explain," he shouted, his voice desperate. But I didn't stop. I ran down the stairs, out of the building, and into the street. My heart was pounding, my chest tight, as I tried to outrun the betrayal, the pain. Suddenly, the sharp sound of a car horn yanked me back to reality. Headlights blinded me, and before I could even think, I felt the impact. There was a loud crash, just like when the cake hit the floor. Except this time it was me. I hit the ground hard, pain overwhelming every part of me. And then nothing. I floated above the scene, watching as my lifeless body lay crumpled on the pavement. I was gone just like that. The news of my accident spread quickly. I was a small-time influencer, so naturally the media latched onto the story. My father, upon hearing the news, collapsed from a heart attack on his way to the hospital. He never made it. Just like that, I lost everything, and so did he. But Jack and Lily? They used my accident to their advantage. At my funeral, they played the grieving friends, crying in front of the cameras, earning the sympathy of everyone. Jack even leveraged the attention to boost his own following, becoming an internet celebrity. But they didn't stay together. Once Jack's fame took off, he paid Lily off, and they went their separate ways. Both of them found new partners and new lives and settled into their own version of happiness. And me? I was the casualty in their story. Chapter 2. A blinding light suddenly filled my vision, and I instinctively raised my hand to shield my eyes. Wait, where am I? I blinked, trying to make sense of the world around me. I was on a plane? How was that possible? I was supposed to be gone. I glanced down at the small bag in my lap, rummaging through it. Inside was a plane ticket, a mirror, and a phone. As I stared at the ticket, a cold realization washed over me. It's been 5 years, and I'm not Anna anymore. I'm Rose. I knew about Rose. Lily had mentioned her before, her younger sister, who had been studying abroad. Apparently, Rose had just finished her degree and was coming back home because Lily's parents had passed away in a car accident. With no one else, Rose was staying with Lily for the time being. I scrolled through the messages on my phone, piecing together the last few years. Lily had gotten married 3 years ago and had recently given birth to a daughter. Her life seemed perfect. Pictures of her, her husband, and their baby filled her social media, showcasing her idyllic little family. I felt my fists clench, my nails digging into my palms. Lily, you destroyed my life, and yet you're here living happily? You took everything from me, and now you get to play house with your perfect family? No, this isn't over. The plane touched down, and as I stepped out of the terminal, I saw them, Lily holding her baby, standing next to her husband, Ian. Lily looked different from the woman I once knew. Gone were the tight dresses and heavy makeup. She wore a loose, simple dress, her face bare and tired. Ian stood beside her, tall and bookish, with glasses that gave him an academic look. I walked toward them, putting on my best smile. "Sister, it's so good to see you. You're even more beautiful than I remembered," I said, wrapping my arms around her. Then I turned to Ian, giving him a playful wink. "And you must be my brother-in-law. I hope you're ready to impress me." They both laughed, the awkwardness of our time apart melting away. But behind my innocent smile, something darker stirred. I had a plan now, and it was already in motion. "Lily, you took everything from me once. Now it's my turn. This time I'm going to take your happiness." Chapter 3. After staying at Lily's for a few days, I'd gotten a pretty good handle on their routine. Every morning, Lily heads out early to buy groceries. She comes back, makes breakfast, and gets Ian ready for work. Then she stays home to take care of the baby. Around 4 p.m., she takes the kid to swim class, and Ian's back from work by 5. At 6, Lily returns home with the kid. And here's the interesting part. Since the baby was born, they've been sleeping in separate beds most nights. Lily says it's so the kid's crying doesn't disturb Ian's sleep for work. This morning, I strolled out of the bedroom in my nightgown. Lily was busy in the kitchen while Ian sat at the dining table, watching something on his phone. "Morning, Ian," I said, sliding into the seat next to him with a sweet smile. I was wearing a nightgown with a low neckline, and I could feel his eyes flicker, trying not to linger on the exposed skin. "You're up early," he said, his voice a little stiff. I pouted, playing the part of a frustrated young woman. "I've been lazing around for days. I really should start looking for a job." Before Lily could come out of the kitchen, I stood up, pretending I needed to go change. As I did, the neckline of my gown dipped a little further, revealing more of me than I intended. Or rather, exactly as much as I intended. I felt Ian's gaze lock onto me, unable to look away. When I came back, I changed into something breezier. A light summer dress that showed off my slim waist and long legs. To be young. Youth is such a powerful thing, isn't it? After breakfast, I followed Ian out to the elevator as he left for work, casually keeping pace with him. The elevator was small, and the space between us was practically non-existent. I could hear his breathing just a little quicker than usual. I looped my arm through him, letting my chest brush ever so slightly against his arm. "Guess where I'm going for my interview today?" His breath hitched, and when our eyes met, he seemed to catch himself. "Where?" he asked, though his voice was a little too casual. I pouted again. "You didn't even try to guess. You don't care at all, do you? Fine, I'll tell you. It's at your company." With my background in overseas education, getting a job at Ian's company was a breeze. It wasn't long before I was his colleague, and with that, we were commuting together every day. On the way to work, I'd sit in the passenger seat, chatting with Ian, making him laugh. Occasionally, I'd let my dress slip just a little, showing enough to keep him intrigued. But then I'd look at him with innocent eyes as if I didn't notice at all. By the time we got home, I'd pull back, playing the dutiful, distant sister-in-law in front of Lily. No need to let her suspect anything too soon. Chapter 4. One evening, Ian went out for drinks with some friends. By the time he came home, it was late. Lily had already gone to bed with the baby, and the house was quiet. I waited until I heard the sound of keys at the door. Then I quickly dashed into the bathroom, stripped down, and turned on the shower. As the steam filled the room, I stood there, completely exposed, waiting. I knew Ian's routine well by now. Whenever he came home drunk, he'd head straight for the bathroom. Sure enough, the door creaked open, and there he was, fumbling with his zipper, not expecting anyone. He froze when he saw me standing there naked in the soft light of the bathroom. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then, realizing what had happened, I gasped and turned my back to him, pretending to be shocked and embarrassed. I didn't know you were coming in," I stammered, my voice low. "Please get out." But the alcohol had emboldened him. He took a step closer, his hand reaching out toward me. I shot him a playful glare over my shoulder, my voice soft but teasing. "Lily's in the other room. You really should go." His eyes lingered on me, taking in every inch of my body, his hand still hovering in the air. After what seemed like an eternity, he finally pulled back and left the room, though it was clear he didn't want to. As the door clicked shut, I smiled to myself. There's nothing more enticing than something you can see but can't touch. After that, Ian's gaze on me changed. There was a hunger there now, something more primal, more dangerous. And me? I carried on as if nothing had happened, playing the innocent girl, all wide-eyed and pure. On my days off, I would help Lily with housework. It was strange to see her like this. Once the life of the party, now playing the perfect stay-at-home mom. Her days were filled with cooking, cleaning, and taking care of the baby. One afternoon, we were sitting in the kitchen, peeling beans together. I gave her a casual glance and asked, "Sister, why don't you go out anymore? You don't miss hanging out with your old friends?" Lily didn't even look up. "I'm too busy with the kid and cooking for you guys. Besides, I don't really have any friends anymore." I raised an eyebrow, pretending to be surprised. "Really? You used to have that one friend you were super close with. You guys were practically sisters, right?" She shrugged, her tone casual. "Oh, her? She's been gone for years. Honestly, she was more like a fool than a friend." I clenched my teeth, biting back my anger. Right. The fool she's talking about? That was me. I gave her everything. If she wanted something, I'd find a way to get it for her. She'd demand expensive gifts for her birthday, and I'd work side jobs just to afford them. And for my birthday? She'd toss me her old, used things as if I should be grateful. But despite all that, I valued our friendship. I thought she was my best friend. Turns out I was just a fool. But not anymore. Now I'm going to take everything from her and her husband, and I'll make sure they both go down in flames. Chapter 5. While I was working my day job, I had someone quietly digging up information about Jack. With Ian, I maintained a facade of innocence, letting our interactions stay at casual touches. But I could tell he was growing more interested. He'd become more attentive, and even when we were just at home, I'd often catch him watching me, trying to be discreet but failing miserably. One Saturday, Ian was getting ready to head out, and I quickly grabbed my bag to follow. "Hey, where are you off to, brother-in-law? Mind giving me a ride?" In the car, Ian gave me a once-over, his eyes lingering a little longer than usual. "Dressed like that? Got a hot date?" I glanced down at myself, short black skirt, thigh-high stockings. There was a playful edge to the outfit, a mix of innocence and allure. I giggled and swatted his arm lightly. "Oh, please. I'm just meeting some girlfriends for tea. What's the matter? Are you jealous?" Before I knew it, Ian grabbed my hand and pulled me close, my body pressing against his chest. I wasn't expecting him to be so bold, so I quickly wriggled free, laughing it off. "Don't be silly. You'll mess up my makeup." I wasn't about to let him have me that easily. Men never value what comes too quickly. Ian looked at his hand as if he could still feel the warmth of my touch. His shirt seemed to hold the faint scent of my perfume. But when he saw me act like nothing had happened, he sighed and dropped it. After a beat, he started the car and drove me to my destination. As I stepped out of the car, I waved him off, watching his car disappear down the street. Then I turned and headed toward the cafe in front of me. Jack had bought a place nearby, and every Saturday afternoon without fail, he'd spend a few hours at this cafe. Sure enough, as soon as I walked in, I spotted him. He'd lost that boyish look and now had the air of someone who'd grown into himself, more confident, more sure of who he was. I sauntered over to his table and pulled out a chair. "Mind if I join you, handsome?" He looked up, clearly annoyed at being interrupted. But when he saw me, a young, attractive woman dressed to impress, the irritation on his face eased. He glanced around at the empty tables, and then back at me, clearly puzzled as to why I'd chosen his. I clasped my hands together, giving him my best puppy dog eyes. "Please? I don't even like coffee, and if I sit alone, they'll make me order something. But if I sit with you, they'll think we're together, and I can get away with just sitting here." He seemed to relax at that. Turns out he wasn't a big fan of coffee either. I knew that already, of course. He hated the stuff but still spent hours here every weekend, probably to avoid going home to his wife. Through some careful digging, I'd learned all about Jack's marriage. He'd married the boss's daughter. Sure, it helped his career, but he couldn't stand her. They had absolutely nothing in common, and he was constantly finding excuses to be anywhere but home. I kept the conversation light, mentioning that I was waiting for a friend. I casually dropped hints about things we had in common. Our favorite singer and the same movies we both loved. It only took a couple of hours before I noticed the change. Jack was talking more, his eyes lighting up as he realized how much we shared. Finally, I glanced at my phone and let out a dramatic sigh, cutting him off mid-sentence. Ugh, my friend just canceled on me. And here I've been waiting for her for 2 hours. Jack shot me a sympathetic look. Well, at least you made a new friend today. I brightened up instantly. A new friend, huh? So, can I add you on Facebook? He hesitated for a moment but then pulled out his phone. Sure, but I might not always respond right away. I pouted, teasing him. Seriously? Making the girl add you first? Where's your sense of chivalry? He chuckled, amused. All right. How about this? I'll send you a friend request instead, Miss Beautiful. Chapter 6. After adding Jack on Facebook, I resisted the urge to message him right away. Being too forward would only make me seem desperate. After adding Jack on Facebook, I resisted the urge to message him right away. Being too forward would only make me seem desperate. But I didn't want to fade from his memory either. Every few days, I'd post a carefully curated selfie on my timeline. Always styled to match his type. Just enough to remind him I was still around. Soon enough, though, I didn't have much time to think about Jack. Our company was organizing a team-building trip to the beach, 3 days and 2 nights of sun, sand, and plenty of opportunities. I put a lot of thought into what I'd pack for this trip. The morning we were set to leave, Lily busied herself packing Ian's suitcase, making sure everything was in order before handing it to him. Take care of Rose, okay? She said, smiling sweetly. She can be a handful. Ian glanced at me, a strange expression flickering across his face. I wouldn't worry about her, he said lightly. Rose has plenty of admirers at the office. I'm sure there'll be no shortage of people wanting to take care of her. I just smiled, playing the part of the innocent younger sister. After a long, exhausting trip, we finally arrived at the resort. Once I changed into my swimsuit, I made my way to the hotel lobby, where most of the team had gathered. My deep burgundy bikini hugged my curves in all the right places, the color making my skin appear even fairer. The design was just revealing enough to draw attention but not so much as to seem too obvious. I could feel the attention shift as soon as I walked in. The men barely tried to hide their stares. That's when Ian appeared, placing himself directly in front of me, blocking their view. He was shirtless, his lean, muscular torso on full display. I tilted my head, teasing. Wow, Ian, I didn't know you had a body like that. He smirked, his eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that made my heart skip a beat. Come on, let's go. Time for a swim. I pouted a little, adding a playful note to my voice. But I don't know how to swim. Think you could teach me, brother-in-law? His gaze darkened, but he kept his smile. Of course. Chapter 7. The beach stretched out for miles and everyone was scattered doing their own thing. Ian led me to a quieter part of the shore where the water was shallow and calm. The waves lapped gently at my ankles, but as they came in stronger, I started to lose my balance. Instinctively, I reached out and grabbed Ian's arm, leaning into him for support. He wrapped his arm around my waist, steadying me. His touch was firm, his skin warm against mine. Everywhere his fingers pressed, it felt like it was burning through me. We waded in a little deeper, the water now up to my waist. Ian demonstrated a few strokes, and his movements were smooth and practiced. Like this, he said, glancing back at me. Now give it a try. But the thought of being submerged made my stomach twist. The waves kept pushing at me, making it hard to stay upright. I don't think I can, I admitted, shaking my head. What if I go under? Without a word, Ian stepped closer, positioning himself behind me. His chest pressed against my back, his hands firmly gripping my waist. His breath was warm against my ear as he whispered, I won't let go. Trust me. I felt something hard brush against me from behind, and heat rushed to my face. My cheeks were burning, but I didn't pull away. As I attempted to swim, Ian kept one arm around my waist, the other just beneath my stomach, guiding me through the water. But as we moved, his hands began to wander, lingering on my skin longer than necessary. His fingers traced slow, teasing circles across my stomach, pressing lightly against my lower belly. I pretended not to notice, focusing on my strokes, but it was getting harder to ignore the way his touch was making me feel. Then, without warning, his hand slipped lower, slipping beneath the fabric of my bikini. I gasped, my body going limp as I collapsed against him, my breath catching in my throat. Ian held me tighter, his lips brushing against the side of my neck. His kisses trailed down to my shoulder, slow and deliberate. One arm stayed firmly around my waist while the other explored further, his touch growing bolder. For a moment I let myself get lost in it, the heat, the tension. But then reality snapped back into place. I twisted away, breathless, pushing him back. We can't do this, Ian. I looked up at him, my eyes wide, pleading. Lily, she's your wife. She gave you a child. We can't betray her. He was breathing hard, his chest rising and falling, clearly frustrated by the interruption. His lips were still parted from the kiss, his eyes dark with lingering desire. But before he could say anything, I took advantage of his hesitation. I pulled away and made my way back to the shore. Chapter 8. That night, we all gathered around the bonfire, playing games and laughing like carefree kids. I did my best to avoid Ian's gaze, keeping my attention firmly on the conversation with my coworkers. But it was impossible to ignore the tension simmering between us. Soon enough, the next game started, Truth or Dare. To my surprise, both Ian and I were picked to play. He stood on my left. I could feel his presence like a slow burn, even without looking at him. When it was Ian's turn, he drew a dare. Kiss the person to your right for 1 minute. The crowd immediately erupted into cheers and whistles, all eyes on us. I could feel my cheeks heating up as I realized I was the one standing to his right. Before I had time to react, a few of the others gently nudged me toward him, closing the distance. Ian didn't hesitate. He took hold of my shoulders, pulling me in closer, and then his lips met mine. The crowd's playful jeering grew louder, but at that moment, it all faded into the background. His kiss was gentle, almost cautious, just a soft press of lips, clearly mindful of the eyes on us. But just as the timer hit a minute, before he could pull away, I leaned in and teasingly flicked my tongue against his lips. The crowd's laughter reached a fever pitch, but I was already stepping back, tossing a mischievous smile over my shoulder as I walked away, leaving Ian standing there. Later that night, after a long shower, I was drying my hair in my hotel room when I heard a knock at the door. I didn't have to guess who it was. I opened the door, and there stood Ian, his expression unreadable. He didn't say a word, just stepped inside. In one swift motion, he pulled me into his arms and carried me to the bed, tossing me down with ease. This time I didn't resist. The next 2 days were a blur. We were like teenagers sneaking around, slipping away from the others whenever we could. Down to the beach, into quiet corners where no one would find us. There were moments when he would look at me with such intensity that it left me breathless, like nothing else mattered but the two of us. On the day we headed back, I sat quietly in the passenger seat of his car, watching the scenery blur by. We were only a few minutes from home. I turned to him, and my voice was soft but steady. Ian, once we're back, let's forget about these past few days, okay? Go home, be with Lily. This never happened. He didn't respond. He just kept his eyes on the road, the silence between us heavy. But later that night, long after everyone had gone to bed, I heard my bedroom door creak open. I didn't need to turn around to know it was him. Chapter 9. Lily continued her homemaker routine, but one day she confided in me, distressed over Ian's coldness and asking if I'd seen any women approaching him at work. I sincerely assured her, "No, sis. Don't worry, I'll keep an eye on him. He's just busy." Then I suggested she buy a sexy nightgown to rekindle their romance. I had no fear she could win Ian back. Her figure had changed significantly, and wearing such attire would probably backfire. As expected, although Ian slept in her room that night, he still came to my room in the middle of the night. Having secured Ian, I turned my attention back to Jack, chatting intermittently on social media. Meanwhile, I created a fake profile, posing as a wealthy man, and added Lily. Feeling lonely and frustrated, Lily quickly opened up to me, the fictitious man. Soon, Jack wanted to meet at a hotel. The real game began. I agreed but insisted on booking the hotel myself. I set up cameras in the room and drugged the drinks. On the other end, using the fake profile, I lured Lily out, playing on her loneliness. Before she left home, I coaxed her into drinking the drugged water. The drug would ignite their primal desires, making them feel as if they were in a dream. I texted Jack, claiming I was stuck in traffic, and persuaded him to drink the room's water, shyly asking him to turn off the lights. When Lily knocked on the hotel room door, they were both already desperate for release, quickly entangling themselves. Once they were done, they sobered up, shocked to see each other. Jack, why is it you? Lily, where's my sweetie? Sweetie was the fake name I used with him. Confused and unable to explain, they parted on bad terms. I immediately deleted the accounts I used to contact them. Chapter 10. Lily, perhaps out of guilt, treated Ian with excessive tenderness over the next few days. Feeling her warmth, Ian was conflicted and didn't visit me for a few nights. I wasn't worried. I posted the footage of Jack and Lily's infidelity online on a bright sunny day. Lily was just an ordinary housewife, but Jack was a well-known internet celebrity, especially since he had gained fame with a deep affection persona, and later received blessings when he married his boss's daughter. But now his image was shattered. The video quickly went viral, with netizens digging up old photos from my case, noticing Jack and Lily's disheveled appearance at the scene. This revelation thrust them into the spotlight. Oh my God, were they involved while Anna was still around? Could they have caused Anna's accident? I used to think Jack was a deeply affectionate guy. He really deceived us all. The public condemned the two of them. Lily initially didn't know about this until Ian threw his phone at her. Seeing the video, she turned pale, all color draining from her face. Stuttering, she began, honey, let me explain." As she tried to approach Ian, he pushed her away, making her fall onto the sofa. "Explain? Your face is clear in the video. What is there to explain? Do you know how everyone looked at me in the neighborhood today?" Ian grabbed some clothes and left, saying, "I'll be staying elsewhere for a few days." Ian had double standards, excusing his actions while condemning others. Lily sobbed on the sofa, and I quickly went to comfort her. "Sis, how could you be so foolish? Ian is such a good man." She continued crying. "I don't know what happened that day. I didn't mean to." I wiped her tears, feigning concern. "Ian is really angry. He might want a divorce." Panicked, Lily said, "What should I do? I don't want a divorce. Rose, help me think of something." Solemnly, I replied, "Sis, you don't know how people are talking about you online. They think you were with that man before and even blame you for Anna's death." Lily was terrified, sweating profusely. "If this continues, Ian might have no choice but to divorce you." I stoked her fear. Desperate, Lily begged me for help. "Sis, I'll always help you because we're the closest sisters in the world." Chapter 11. Lily hesitantly started a live stream, looking scared. I encouraged her softly from the side. "Just explain clearly, don't say too much." I had told Lily to live stream and explain herself, knowing that facing public scrutiny, she wouldn't be able to control the narrative. As more viewers joined the stream, I signaled Lily to start. "Hello everyone. I'm Lily." Her voice trembled, tears welled up, making her look pitiful. "I'm being wronged in this situation. That day was an accident. I was drunk and don't know how it happened. I love my husband and our family. We just had a daughter last year. I wouldn't ruin my family." The comments poured in. "Drunk in broad daylight? Who believes that? So why were you drinking alone with your ex-best friend's boyfriend? Would you end up in a hotel after drinking? We all know what that means." "Yeah, explain why you ended up in a hotel room." Panicking, Lily blurted out, "I was drugged. I really don't know anything." The viewers seized on this. "Drugged? Are you saying Jack drugged you?" Reluctantly, Lily nodded. "Yes, Jack drugged me. He pretended to be an old friend to lure me out and drugged me." Jack, dealing with his own fallout, was furious upon hearing Lily's accusation, especially since his wife had served him divorce papers and his father-in-law was ready to blacklist him. Seeing Lily pin all the blame on him, he lost his composure, joining her live stream. Lily hesitated to accept, but viewers pressured her, questioning her credibility if she refused. The stream's viewership soared past 1 million. Jack appeared on screen furious. "You're saying I drugged you? You think I'd look at you with your out-of-shape body? You set me up with a woman and then pulled a scam." His eyes were cold. "If you want money, just say so. Stop pretending." Humiliated in front of millions, Lily retorted, "You tried to force yourself on me before, and then paid me hush money. Confidently, she said, "I'll find the transfer records to prove it." To prevent more outbursts, she ended the stream. Chapter 12. Though the stream ended, the scandal's heat only intensified, with most people believing Lily. Jack's words now seemed futile. Admiringly, I told Lily, "Sis, you're impressive. Everyone believes you're the victim now." Though temporarily vindicated, Lily was still anxious. Seizing the moment, I went to persuade Ian to return home. "Brother-in-law, you saw it. Sis is the victim. Forgive her this time." I clung to his arm, pleading. Ian remained conflicted. Cuddling closer, I whispered, "Don't you miss me? You don't know how much I miss you." Intrigued, he asked, "How much?" Placing his hand on my chest, I blushed. "Feel my heart and you'll know." Gripping me tightly, he wanted more, but I stopped him. "Let's go home. I want you to go back with me, please." Eventually, Ian returned home, but his attitude towards Lily remained cold, while he became bolder with me. Lily, busy in the kitchen, remained oblivious to our kisses in the living room or our secret showers together. Even as she slept with the child, Ian and I shared intimate moments in another room, covering my mouth to stifle my sounds. Ian's increased fervor made it thrillingly dangerous. Unaware, Lily continued her routine. As the scandal cooled, fewer people discussed it. Time to stir the pot once more. Using an anonymous account, I posted the chat logs from my fake profile with Lily. In the chats, Lily expressed her loneliness and sent seductive photos, eagerly accepting hotel invitations. The scandal reignited, trending once again. I knew they were both scum. Her story never added up. My feelings were played. Both are despicable. Lily locked herself in her room, emerging cautiously after a day. Seeing Ian hadn't filed for divorce yet, she relaxed slightly. I sympathetically served her food. "Sis, eat up. You must be starving." She didn't notice Ian's hand caressing my leg under the table, feeling touched. "Thank you, Rose, for always standing by me." Turning to Ian, she said, "I'll strive to be a good wife." I smiled. "We're your family. Of course we stand by you." Lily continued her homemaker dream, avoiding her phone and wearing a mask when out, pretending nothing had happened. Until one day, I sent her a message, luring her home early from the child's swimming lesson. The door was left slightly open on purpose, just for her to see. I let out deliberate sounds, asking Ian, "Brother-in-law, who do you like more, me or sis?" Without pausing, Ian replied, "You, my sweet Rose, my dear Rose." Hearing a loud crash from the door, we turned to see Lily stunned. Lily rushed to hit me, but Ian blocked her. Her face twisted with rage, she shouted, "What are you doing? Rose, how could you seduce your brother-in-law?" I calmly dressed. "Sis, isn't a best friend stuff meant to be shared? That includes your husband." Just as she had said when she and Jack betrayed me. Unable to touch me, she cursed profusely. I chuckled. "Didn't you sleep with your best friend's boyfriend? You can dish it out but can't take it." Ian, frowning, pushed her away. "Enough. If you can't handle it, we'll divorce." Collapsing to the ground, she sobbed. "Divorce? I won't let you two off that easily. I'll expose your affair." Indifferently, I said, "Go ahead. Who will believe you? See if anyone sides with you." She could only stare at me with hatred. Chapter 13. Ian filed for divorce. Lily's infidelity was proven, leaving her with minimal assets and no custody of the child. Accusations of our affair lacked evidence, and no one believed her. Everyone saw her as a liar trying to extort more money. After the divorce, Ian proposed to me. We took wedding photos, and I made sure Lily saw them by sending her copies. Rumors said she struggled to find work, resorting to cleaning jobs, barely making ends meet. She frequently visited Ian, hoping for reconciliation, but he grew increasingly disgusted. I hoped the sight of my wedding photos would ruin her appetite. Jack fared worse. After his divorce and a beating from his ex-wife's men, he left the hospital with little money. Blacklisted by his father-in-law, no one dared hire him. Jack resorted to physical labor, but his pampered life left him unfit for it. Influenced by certain people, he turned to gambling, quickly accruing debts and constantly on the run. They all got there just deserts. Ian planned our wedding, but I left him a letter and vanished. I apologized. I had used him. Being with him trapped me in hatred and I couldn't love him. Moreover, if he could abandon Lily for me, he might do the same to me someday. I refused to be a joke again. I moved to a new city, changed my name, found a quiet job, and traveled during breaks. During my travels, I met a younger man, still in college, who pursued me relentlessly. I rejected him, but he persisted. He asked me to wait 2 years for him to graduate and join me. I thought he was joking. But 2 years later, one morning he stood before me. I continued rejecting him, but he settled next door. 2 years later, I accepted his proposal and confessed my past misdeeds. Bathed in the amber glow of streetlights, his eyes like a flawless moon were sincere and gentle. "It's okay. You have me now.